Here, I'll join you on camera. Why not? Hello and welcome back to the Alpha Developers Day 2024. I'm Dave McCormick, your MC for the day, and I am very pleased to be joined by Dan Bricklin, who is our Chief Technical Officer. Hey there, Dan.
Hey.
Today we're going to be talking about, or in this session, we're going to be talking about TransForm. We have made quite a lot of progress over the past year, and we're also headed in some new and interesting ways. After Dan is finished, we're going to take a look at some of the new interface stuff with Scott Allen and Even Chambliss. And after that, we're going to be talking about account-based storage, which is a new thing that we'll be working on in future versions of TransForm. But we will begin here with Dan. How's it going, Dan?
Doing okay.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter so that you can show us what you got.
See what happens.
And you will see a dialog box.
Oh, look at that. Show me the screen.
Yeah.
I can show the screen. I guess so. Okay. Click monitor one. That's the one, right? Monitor one.
Let's see. I'll let you know. That looks good. And if I can ask you to now drop off camera because it makes for a better recording later on when we can see the full screen.
I will hide myself. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Tim.
Okay. So, so welcome everybody. I'm here to talk about TransForm, what's new, what's coming, talk about what we did the last year, but also what's coming in the future, what's coming really, really soon. In fact, it's a lot of it's actually there, and what's we're going to be hearing about the near future and the further future. Let's see. There we go. So last year's Dev Day, we announced all sorts of things that we had that we made available. We had the sign-up sheet, the free tier, up tier, quick links, all sorts of stuff. Render functions was a big thing, which made it possible to make the filler, the forms look give you a lot of freedom to make exactly what you want in the behavior and the way you could look at the forms that you were filling out. And there was the ability to be able, a lot of stuff about TPL functions and new stuff on submit that let you, after you did your editing and uploaded it, to be able to more easily get your data out to somewhere else. And we said coming soon would be a management console where you could edit form instances like the web filler. We had a really poor editing before that in the management console. We said we put the web filler in there, additions to TPL, autosave, that if you haven't saved, eventually it would at some point upload automatically. Quick link, explicit instance, being able to edit as an admin, because quick link is very helpful. Builder, and put the web filler in TransForm Central. And guess what? All of that coming soon happened in the last year. Yay. So signature fields, in addition to SVG, which we've had since day one, or since early on in TransForm, you now can say, I want to store it as a JPEG, a PNG. You can set the background color or make it transparent if it's a PNG. You can adjust the width. You can get rid of the timestamp line if you want. So we've added that because some of the customers needed it. That's making the filler better. We made it so that the filler and quick link were easier to embed into other apps and took advantage of that, such as embedding it into Central and also letting others build apps that they can embed it into if they want. There were enhancements to daytime, so better handling of unset. We didn't do that very well before when you want to set it back to not set. And a new calendar mode where you could click on a calendar, which is rather than the spinners, which aren't very good when you're in a web filler. Filler customizations were added to let you customize some of the menus, the help, and other UI elements, so that if you were using this in a more white label type of thing for a very specific customer who doesn't need to know everything about TransForm, you could do the customizations. The web filler got QR code decoding, so that you could use your laptop camera and stuff like that. Two-factor authentication, just like we did in Alpha Anywhere, we've added two-factor authentication capability if you want for a particular account. Filter enhancements were done behind the scenes for dealing with various upload issues and image storage to be able to deal with the unusual cases better. Since we have so many users and uses of them, we run into some of the edge cases, and we made it easier to be able to handle some of those. And the whole idea is to try to not lose data when we can. We really don't like to lose data. It used to be that it would always ask you, do you want to upload one or upload all? And when you click one of the buttons, now you can actually say, no, always upload one or always upload all, or do the prompt. And the change status and save function in TPL now lets you be able to say whether to only do one or to do all. A lot of this came from requests from our customers. There's new support that had to go into all of the rest of TransForm to support the new TransForm Central Home tab design that you're going to see more of in a few minutes. And that involved making sure that the other parts of TransForm were able to be integrated better into a central hub to be able to make the workflow a lot smoother and a lot more comfortable for regular users and users that are using it constantly, day in and day out. In addition, the dashboard itself got some enhancements. By popular request, we put in full width tiles. So if you want to, you can have a tile that's not just small, medium, large, and extra large. You can make it the full width of the window. There are various performance and robustness enhancements that were done server side, as we have customers who are getting more and more data out there and producing 24/7 all sorts of forms. We have been enhancing the ability to do that, and that's been moving along pretty good. In addition, to help that, we've just added a new filter setting to skip getting form data when you're getting the data for the dashboard, not for editing in dashboard, but when you're displaying the data, because sometimes you just want to know totals and things like that, but the count that it had before wasn't enough. So this lets us handle a larger number of form instances by not dealing with as much data server side. And then we have this thing called tile actions functionality, which is very exciting. We're really into that. So there's the new TransForm Central design. Dave, do we want to see that now, or do we want to wait till after I'm done?
Let's wait till after you're done.
Okay, we will wait till after I'm done.
Exactly.
And, okay, it's exciting.
It's so exciting that you can't show it now. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. But part of what we're trying to do, though, is we're looking at first-time use. We're looking at daily use, and we're looking about use in a workflow, and that impacted the TransForm Central design and the dashboard design. The tile actions functionality comes from a set of needs. The dashboard originally was built for data filtering and visualization. When you look up the word dashboard in a user interface type stuff and all, you find that dashboards, there are many different uses for dashboards, but a large class of them are for filtering particular data and visualization of that particular data. It's basically for looking at what's happening on the data now. And then it's also for acting on that filtered data. We put some basic operations that are provided with a management console-like interface. Okay, so basically we took the management console and stuck it into dashboard so that the filtered list of form instances that you get in the dashboard, you can send them to like a management console, a little slightly enhanced, to be able to do basic operations. But the management console is designed for being able to just be able to do stuff. It's many simple and especially bulk operations can be tedious and obscure. In many cases, data, and it's not, for the faint of heart. It was really designed for people who were admin levels who understood all about TransForm. But so in many cases, the data had to be exported, and then any visualizations or reports or whatever you needed to be created outside of TransForm. And then you often needed to do all sorts of your own web programming and the API for TransForm to be able to do some basic things that you'd want to do in workflow. We had been looking at workflow for the last few years, and it turns out that when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, there are all these very specific things. It's not just oh, send it here, send it there. It's I have to think about it and do something. And we really needed a way to make custom operations with the filtered data more straightforward, such as the click of a button. We don't just need the automatic, go send it here, send it there, but we wanted to be able to let you filter for a specific thing and say, oh, send this to this person, or mark it for this, make the change for that, send it off. Or I need to take these things and turn it into this particular type of report that I've formatted using HTML and stuff like that. All that type of stuff is easily done in many cases using TPL. And we need to be able to do these things, and especially if you could get to some web service calls, because sometimes what you need is either done or input to it comes from elsewhere. And that was not in the dashboard. So tile actions add control panel operations to a dashboard, like generating and downloading a report or assigning a form instance easily to a person or to a queue, and lots more. It's like, in a car, you have a speedometer and a fuel gauge, that's the dashboard, as well as the fan speed and defroster controls, which are a control panel in a car. You'd like to have both of them. Now, what we have within HTML template text that you display on a tile, you can make buttons and other clickable areas that can invoke TPL code. And that TPL code has access to much of the dashboard's data, and there's special functions to operate on that data. So let me get some terminology set up by sort of showing you how the dashboard currently works, and then what we've added to it, or has been working for the last few years, and then what we've added to it. So we have a thing called dashboard refresh. In fact, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner that you can click that says refresh. And what that does is it goes out to the database up in the cloud, the form instance database, and it does server-side filter that you've defined for the dashboard, filters, accesses, retrieves and filters that data, and then sends down to your browser client-side filtered rows of form instances. Okay, then we have a thing called tiles refresh. So there was dashboard refresh, tiles refresh. In tiles refresh, we take the client-side filter data that we got by going to the server, and we render it into what you want to see on the screen. It has things like some variables you can click on, and then it does a refresh again to be able to see the changes based on those variable changes when you click on the various inputs. Okay, so that's good for visualization, and we've done some really nice stuff with it. In addition, you have a thing called Show Forms List. There's a button you can push, or you can click on some of these things, and what it does is it makes a list of form instance IDs and then sends them over to this other window, another screen called the Forms List. The Forms List then goes out to the server, says, get me that list of form instance IDs, and get all of the data for it. This one doesn't have pictures and stuff like that. It may know that it has a picture, but it doesn't actually have the picture information down and stuff like that. This has more information available about each of the the form instances that you've told it about. It might be one, it may be many, okay? And then you can then look at it, and then you can edit, you can do things like export and stuff like that there. You can also, once, if you've edited it and you make modifications to this list is different than this list. It's a particular list that we have here. This list, if you think of Alpha Anywhere, it's an Alpha Anywhere list box. You can actually show the forms list. Oops, wrong button. Saving it takes it and sends it back to here. And then you can do a refresh and see what you've done, and the latest comes back here. So you can do, but there's the separate things for the forms list. Okay, let's look at tile actions. Tile actions are, you can have a tile template, and basically that's somewhere in the text, the HTML text that you're able to put on tiles. You can put something in that says format it this way and have a 5-item tile action. This one is update value. Give it new value, and then show the word update value that you see here. Then you click on it and goes out here, takes the tile action update value, finds at update value, and executes it. In this case, it's going back to these, setting row 2's user 1 to whatever this value is, and then it refreshes the title, the tiles. You have TPL access to the forms list. This is hidden. You don't see this when you're running in the tile actions, but you can, TPL can say, for example, when you click on a button, you can say, get this particular ID, form instance ID, load those IDs from one or more of them from the database, and, you know, give me some information on the console because I'm learning, I'm debugging it or whatever. And then I have some rows that I can play with. In addition, they're dashboard events. You can say, when I do a dashboard refresh, execute this, my on dashboard refresh. So like here, I'm using $.global, which is a new value that stays for that every time you do a dashboard refresh, it's reset to nothing, to an empty object, and then you can put things there. Like I'm putting .refreshed into it with when I was refreshed, and then you have tile refresh. Every time you do a tile refresh, the tile refresh is called, and you could put things there. This is wiped out every time you do a tile refresh. It lasts the length of the tile, but this lets you pass things within the tile for one part of the calculations to another and stuff like that. There are new TPL functions in the dashboard. In the dashboard, in tile actions, you can do a wait, which means it can wait. It can actually do things, doesn't have to be what we call no wait operations. You can put up messages, you can get progress bars and stuff like that. You can send a request to a web service. You can send a request through our server to a web service so that the secret keys, your API keys, are kept in the server and are not available down in the user side. You can actually do direct get operations to a, if the CORS settings are right, you can actually load a particular file directly. But then we have these extra new ones. We have download text, where you can say, here is some text, it's a string, here's a file name, here's a MIME type, that would be like a text file or HTML file or something like that. That's what text/plain and text/HTML. And target, you can say either make it available as the download from the browser, or you can open a new tab with that text on it. You can give it an array or one form instance ID, and you can load that into the forms list, that place over here. You can clear the list. You can find out what rows are in the list. You can set the row's status with new status if you have permissions. You can update fields in a row. These are the metadata fields, like the user 1, user 2, and the person that it's assigned to. But you can also update the data JSON, the form data, and give it new form data if you want. And you can do that with just one of them, or with many of them. So you can then save the edits that you've made to the list that's down in there. You can save it back up, as I showed you before. You can save it back up to the server. You can add a new form of a form type, and you can select a particular row out of the forms list that you have here, just like you can in the management console. And you can bring up for edit in the filler that selected row, which will show up right in front. And then when you push save, it goes right back there, and then you can do a save list edits if you want. You can programmatically change some other values, etc. You can get an image that's, there's a unique ID that's stored in the form data for pictures and stuff. Well, what you can do is you can actually download that image and turn it into a data URI. Why would you want to do this? This you'd want to do because you want to produce a report that doesn't have, it's not an HTML. Well, it's an HTML maybe, but you don't want it to have to go out to the internet and actually load that particular image. You want to be able to take the image and put it inline directly into your report. You can refresh the dashboard, and you can refresh the tiles. Okay, so let's do a demo. So how am I doing on time here? Okay.
Yep, you're doing fine. You have at least 10 minutes.
Oh, good. Well, let's see. This should take about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
So this is a demo dashboard that we're looking at in the old style of the way it looks. Remember, there was the show list that lets you see that forms list. I can always, click on one of them and see a forms list over here. And there it is. Go back, and has that one that we just looked at was over here. This is the forms list. You can see here, this one is set to actually show it. Now, these things don't always update unless a refresh is done. You have to explicitly say do a tile refresh or a dashboard refresh. So let's show some of these. So here's an action that has weights in it. So down here is the developer's console, and I'm going to wait 1 second, then I'm going to wait 2 seconds. So what's happening? I've waited 1 second, I've waited 2 seconds, and I'm done. Okay, that's kind of cool. Let's now send a request using the server out to a web service that I have, a simple web service that all that it does is returns information about the call, the HTTP request that is made to it. It tells you. So if I go here, it says that it took 1.1 seconds. It was a post. The query had this key in it. The content type was this. It had this header in it. The body said this is body with the constant 1. And arg1 was arg value 1. That came from here, okay? And that was this. So I could change this, and we could change this to be DevDay 2024, right? And if I do that again, let's see, send request. There we go. And it says DevDay 2024. So you can actually pick up stuff that's here. You can pick up data here and do calls out to the server. Notice that the refresh has not updated yet. Refreshing hasn't updated yet because I haven't asked it to. It's still doing its calculations. Okay, I can bring up a confirm. This message came from the A5 value. If I do a cancel, I get a result of blank. I do this, I get a result of 1. Yay, kind of nice. Let's download text. I'm gonna make some simple text, and let's put it in a new tab, and let's make it text, make it type text. I click on this, and here a new tab opened up, and it says HTML body, this is the download text bold, okay? Go back here. Well, why not make it type HTML, right? And then do download text. Look, it's bold. So you can actually open that up. If I wanted to, I could say, no, do it as text, make it a download. Well, make it HTML. And download the text, and here it is. And it's a text file ready to go if I wanted it. Let's clear the forms instance, the forms list, and I'm going to load the form instance with one of these, okay? And I picked up the one with pump jack, one of the ones with pump jack in it, add pump jack 1, okay? This is that image 64. There it's embedded in it, and actually if you look here, you'll see here's the data URI was produced. Kind of cool. This is just my test that I use. Let's refresh the dashboard. It forces a refresh, and it puts out a little message to say that it refreshed it at this time. And you can see that the dash global dot refreshed was just done just now. And this was done in refresh tiles right afterwards. I can refresh tiles each time I do this. You'll see that this gets updated because I'm actually redoing this without going back to the server. I'll do an Ajax get, opening a new tab. This is a file that's up on S3 that has a little bit of Northwind in it as a text JSON. And then I think I actually parse it and then stringify it nicely to make it look like this. And so you can actually go out and get stuff. As I said, the CORS settings have to be correct. Let's add a new form and then bring it up for edit. So I'm adding a new form. I say type gsample1, and it has successfully added it. First time, where was I born? I was born in Pennsylvania. Let's put that in, do save, good enough. And then I could, if I want to, I can save this back to the list. Okay, that was saved back to the list. And it says no errors reported, one form was added. I got that information, comes back to let me know that. I now, let's see, I can do a dashboard refresh. Did I do a refresh? I don't think I need to at this point. And you can see one that was just created over here. That's the one that was just created. So I can add a new form, create it. I can clear the forms list. Let's, here I have something. Let's upload, let's take row number 2 and let's update it with this value here. And there we go. I've just updated this. I've access to that. I have actions on each of these. When I press this action, this is row 0, this is row 1, this is row 3. This doesn't have to be formatted this way. I can format this as anything I want. I can make the whole thing hot, whatever. It's done in the it's done in the template that you put in there for it. And you've seen the save list. I can set the status. I can bring a particular one up for edit. I have my global values here. Let's increment the global. Global is now 5. If I refresh the tiles, I see that value 5 is in global. That's kind of cool. Let us do a increment of the tile global. Now the tile global, each time I do it for this tile, it's remembering how many times I've done this. It's up to 12. But if I refresh the tiles, it's not there because on refresh it's reset. So it's a different type of different lifetimes for those things. And change row 0, that was, we've seen that type of stuff. So that gives you an idea of some of the things we can do.
Very, very cool.
And next, after we see the new dashboard, we'll talk about planning for next year. Then we'll do Q&A. Thank you very much.
That sounds great. Thank you very much, Dan. So we've got Scott Allen here. Hey, Scott, how's it going?
It's going good.
And
Very
he's
good.
joined by Even, and collectively, you guys will be one presenter. I think is that the case? So you'll do the talking, but Scott will do, but Even will do the driving. So
Well, I'm going to be doing the talking at first, and then Even can take over. So maybe
okay,
when
fair
I
enough.
mention, hey, Even, why don't you take over from here? You know, we can switch roles at that point.
All right, that sounds
Uh,
good.
but yeah, and then Even can share with us
Do we want
the
to see Even's screen right
imagery.
now?
What's that?
Should we see Even's screen right now? Is
Sure,
the
that'd be
question.
great.
All right, excellent. So Even, I'm going to make you the presenter,
Okay.
and you should see a dialog box.
Yep. And let me just target this and there. Okay. And can you see my screen?
Yes, I
Indeed.
can. I'm looking at a web browser.
Yep.
Fantastic. And Scott, if you want to drop off, this will give us a nice recording where we'll see the whole thing.
That sounds good. So hello, DevDay attendees. I am Scott Allen, lead designer, and I'm joined here today with Even Chambliss, lead developer. We have been busy. You know, the team for much of the last few years has been so focused on improved functionality, adding high demand features and whatnot. But we've had the great fortune of working on a redevelopment of the user interface. So I'm going to quickly we'll show you the current version real fast. You've seen this before, but here's the home page. You can see there's really not a whole lot to it. There's a lot of white space, and there's some buttons that go and jump to some things, but they're just
Well, there's a whole 1,000 bits of
Oh,
texture on the left too.
all that stuff on the left side. Yeah, yeah. Also, a bunch of settings, and not really highly organized or traditional in its placement. So we wanted to shore a lot up with this homepage and make it more functional for all the users. So we've been getting to work, and I guess Even you can start showing some of our new work.
Okay.
It's in beta right now, soon to be released. This new homepage is going to be a lateral access hub for all the work that we've created.
Oh, I like that term, a lateral access hub. That's
Yeah.
actually a very good way of, you can get to stuff very easily from all points.
Correct. So for a workspace for every person to using the account, particularly those who have if you're let's say a highly privileged user, you would have probably a lot more form types, and if less user, you're going to have less less allowed user in terms of privileges. Say you're only here to fill instances, you would have less options available in this interface. But you can see we've got some different tiles, widgets or tiles, purple and green, the greens being for form types and the purple being for dashboards. These are a lot of fun. They're giving us a lot of ability to jump to where we need to go or where you need to go after you've created these forms and have collected some data and analyzed some of that data. So I'll just let Even take over from here. He can explain everything that we've been busy at work doing. It's just been an honor to work with Even to work on this project. Something we've both been chomping at the bit to do is to get more UI development into TransForm, and we've been given a lot of opportunity to do that this past year, and we plan to keep on going. So from here, Even, why don't you take it off?
Okay. So, I mean, the first sort of major thing that we had to do when we redesigned the UI was we knew that we wanted to change your home screen experience from what this currently is to something that, you know, would prove a little bit more useful. But when you did that, you had to move all the stuff that was accessed here, which really is not something that needs to be accessed all the time, to a new location. So we basically started by redesigning the entirety of the masthead. This masthead is now very much more, you know, flexible. It will shrink and grow as needed, so you don't have the text running underneath. On the left-hand side, we have most of the tabs that you're used to, with one notable missing is the permissions. That was largely because on a day-to-day basis, permissions is going to be the least used of the current tabs. And on the right side, we've added a couple of extra buttons, which will only be visible for people who have certain privileges, all except for the help, apps, and the user button. We've changed the user button, so now instead of asking for a confirm login when you click the user button, you get a pop-up, a drop-down, a dock that gives you the ability to confirm login, log out, so you can change your user, edit your preferences, and edit your profile. Pretty straightforward, pretty standard for what people would expect. We also spent some time, you know, with great organizations. So for instance, as an account admin, you'd want to be able to access certain capabilities that you can currently access on this side panel here. But we also focused on, you know, coalescing some of those things that are spread across multiple panels here into single options. So for instance, the account tab, we have preferences. We've updated the form, JSON form that is used to make it look a little bit nicer. We added a billings and usage tab, which will basically give you an overview of what your account is currently set up to do. And we took all of the user management and put it into a single interface. So now you have, obviously this is a fake account and it doesn't have much in it, but you have the ability to do all of the things that you need to do for member management of your account.
Even, can you pause just for a second, because your screen is taking a while, I think, to catch up, or at least it appears that way for me. It looks like it's still loading. Scott, are you seeing that too?
Lots of lag, yeah.
Okay.
Trust
me, it's lightning fast in real life. So.
Can you see the member screen at this point?
Nah, it just still says loading.
Oh, so it might have dropped out momentarily.
Yeah.
So has it completely locked up?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any updates or anything on the screen.
Maybe try unsharing your screen.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'm gonna then make myself the presenter, then I'll make you the presenter, so that should do it.
So is my screen back up or?
Not yet.
Okay.
One moment, and it will be.
All right.
Okay, you should see a dialog box right about now.
A little bit, so 1 second.
This is quite the tease because there's a lot of really cool stuff to see.
Oh my gosh.
So can you see my screen now? I tried shrinking down the browser window, so maybe that will help.
Yeah, I'm still getting a waiting to view. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, very nice. Well, that was worth the wait right there. Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
So basically, we redesigned the members interface into a single location so we can do, you know, the drag reordering that's required, but we also have we added searching, we added sorting, we added all the addition of members can be done, and we basically sort of streamlined all of that so that now member management is, one location and been prettified, and you can see, what each member can do and manage that all here. So basically, the account management is, the thing that admins would do. You might look at accounts if you're somebody who's a little bit more, in the weeds. There's the developer tab, which I hope you guys can see that I just brought up.
Not yet, but I see you're about to.
That's great.
Okay, now we are, and I'm looking at a JSON editor actually.
Yep. So we added this JSON editor. We've made it so that it actually does. We have validation. We have the ability to, colorize. So, I mean, this is not going to be actually anything of any real value, but,
Oh, I get the pun.
Yeah. So basically, we have colorization. We've made it a little bit easier. We haven't really had the time to, we've been, with all the stuff we're doing, we haven't necessarily gotten the chance to make all of the UI that we want to, but we've at least got it easier.
Right, we'll have proper builders for it, but in the past you just had a blank JSON screen, which without any of these helpers.
A text editor without any
yeah.
colorization or anything,
Mm-hmm.
and no ability to do the reformat or any of that. So we basically went through and the place where the least sort of work's been done to make the home screen better, to make the stuff that was on the home screen better has been in the developer doc. But this does have a number of functionalities. We did move permissions to it, and we've sort of added a builder for actions and the event log for actions. On-device assets and policies and queues are pretty straightforward. The one that we spent the most time adding some functionality to is the API keys, which hopefully will be coming up now for people to see.
I hope it does. We had a very rudimentary system for API keys, and now they're much easier to keep track of.
So basically, hopefully this will be visible, but what we've got now is the ability to create API keys on the fly. We had that before, but we have this setup here where we can create the API key, but we also now have a list of API keys, which we didn't previously have, with the ability to revoke and delete and see ones that have been revoked and also permanently delete ones. So basically, we've made it much easier to handle API keys, and that sort of is like an example of this is the type of interface that we're working towards having generically across the board for things like developer preferences and permissions and all of that. So we're going to be moving that direction, but that was just sort of to show that we've, sort of got all the stuff sequestered that was on the home screen, sequestered away into logical locations. We added the apps doc, which basically is here to replace, to sort of add the ability to access other.
You'll need to give that a minute for it to come up. It looks like you've clicked on apps, but it reminds me very much, just looking at it while it's coming up, of what Google does in Gmail. They have like a little launcher up at the top. When you click on it, you can get to calendar, you can get to mail, you can get to here. So
right.
Same deal here. Just for the fillers. Yeah.
So basically, this would allow you to access the parts of TransForm that you otherwise would, that the parts of TransForm that are not central, because TransForm is sort of two things. It's central and it's the filler. And so we wanted to make it sort of, we might have more apps as we go along, but we wanted to sort of make it so that there's an easy access to the other branches of TransForm. So if it doesn't make sense for you to be using Central, we can get you to some place that makes a little bit more sense.
That's great.
So with that aside.
Excellent. So I'm going to have to cut you off there because we're running tight on time. But what we saw here is really, really amazing. So this is going to be out in beta at transformbeta.alphasoftware.com really quite soon, next couple of weeks, we think. So even and Scott, thank you very much. We're going to head over now to Greg, who's going to talk a little bit about account-based storage. So Greg, can I go ahead and make you the presenter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to present, but I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what we're looking at sort of going forward.
All right, do you want to pop up on camera?
No, I suppose I could.
Don't be shy. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, so kind of as we get more and more, customers on TransForm, and as they start to use things and we start to build different types of applications with TransForm, what's become apparent is that in a lot of cases there's a need for either supporting data or maybe a higher level container to the form data. So today TransForm is entirely sort of focused on form instances basically as the data. So we've got sort of bits and pieces in the product already that let you do certain things with supporting data. So for example, you have on-device assets that you can add to your account that will pull down to the mobile devices and allow you to either include documents and images and things in the forms to work offline, or you can do SQLite databases that allow you to do lookups using some TPL. So somebody can scan up a barcode, look up a product, populate the form, automatically with whatever they get, QR code reading, things like that are already in the product. And then we also have AJAX callback functions within the product that allow us, as Dan kind of showed, we can go out to web services and pull some data into the form, and now into the dashboard is now coming, so that we can kind of support those things. But what we haven't yet done and what we're looking to do is to unify that under a sort of a single umbrella. So some of the issues that you have today, one is that we don't provide any way for you to just store your assets within the account itself, right? So you have to bring your own storage essentially. So you have to find a place to upload your images or your SQLite databases or things like that. So that's one area that we're working on, essentially providing some storage within the account for you to say, hey, here's my image files, here's my SQLite data, just upload it into my account, and then not have to mess around with writing some JSON in a manifest file to get it all to work, but to give you buttons that you can click and say, these are the files that I want to go down to the devices. The other area that we're kind of looking at is, since we've added the web filler in addition to the mobile, that's sort of broken a little functionality there, is that, the web filler does not support the SQLite lookups. We have ways around on the doing like images and documents and things like that, where you can do those in the web filler. But that lookup data that's in a SQLite, essentially, you can't, push those to the browser. So we're looking at ways of sort of unifying that functionality as well, where you would define at your account level sort of that lookup data that would then be, available whether you're in the filler offline or you're in the web filler, or potentially what we're looking at is a sort of a data store at the account level that would be accessible from anywhere within the system. So a dashboard would be able to access the same thing that a form would be able to see, or the on submit event might be able to reference a lookup table or something that we've stored at the account level. So there's a lot of moving parts to that we're working on. So we're starting to see bits and pieces, put together. But that's kind of the direction that sort of we're looking as sort of our next step, is to say, hey, there's this whole shell around these forms that we're trying to support. Today we can do that with Alpha Anywhere, but in a lot of cases it's just how much could we actually do within TransForm itself to sort of support those needs. And they're not general purpose applications at this point that we're trying to build, but it's things like Dan's kind of showed in his demo. And it's like, if I have a list of forms that people have submitted that just need me to approve them, if I can build a dashboard that shows the relevant sections out of the form and give me a button that I can click and say, yep, that one's okay, nope, that one's no good, and it takes care of all the rigmarole behind the scenes of sending it back to the user or all of that. Those are the sort of purpose-built kind of things that we're looking at, as well as some of the things we've done in the past with like data-driven forms, where it's like, based on the part number that you've chosen, there's a set of questions that we want to dynamically create within the form. We're able to do that in the filler if we have the data. And so, managing the data becomes the next problem in those types of systems. So we're sort of in the design phases of some of this and in some of the prototype phases and others, but really to sort of unify this all under one umbrella. So that's, kind of the next big thing that we're looking at right now. The other one that I would throw out there too is we are looking at making it easier to integrate TransForm within, especially Alpha Anywhere applications. So things like single sign-on capabilities and those sorts of things, so that you could build an Alpha Anywhere application where you have the security model and everything set up, log into that, and then if a user needs to invoke a form, send a form to somebody or fill out a form, that we'd be able to call, TransForm and seamlessly pass credentials so that they don't have to log in again to get into the web filler or the embedded web filler that I think, we showed off earlier this year. So that's kind of the other area, is sort of how do we make TransForm more of a component in larger applications.
Cool. Hey, Greg, thanks very much. We still have a few minutes left, so we're actually going to go back to Dan. Hello there, Dan. Hello, Dan, are you there? I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I had to click the button to bring up the button.
I know how that works. I'm
Yeah.
going to make you presenter again.
Okay, what would you like to do?
So I think you had a couple things coming up next on your session, or
Well,
are you
the only thing
Yeah.
coming up was Greg, which
Yeah.
you heard.
Yeah.
Planning for next year, and about QA. Now, the stuff that I showed with tile actions, almost all of that, not all of it, but most of it is actually in production right now.
Nice.
And as soon as we have the new UI, actually probably before it, probably sometime in the next week or two, all of the tile actions stuff that I've showed will be available on production. And because we're starting to need to use it for some of the stuff we're building for people.
Right, exactly.
And over time, we'll be adding new features to that. And then get the there is some documentation that's already written about it. We have to figure out to get that documentation out.
Yeah.
We're very close with that one.
Fantastic.
Any questions about TransForm or?
Any questions at all here? Someone just asked, is TransForm fully developed in Alpha Anywhere, or is it built in other code bases? I think it's pretty much entirely Alpha Anywhere.
Oh yeah, what other code base? Well, I mean, it's a lot of JavaScript, but I sit in Alpha Anywhere. When Selwyn talks about, well, you use Alpha Anywhere for this and that, I mean, yeah. Now, often it's built in older Alpha Anywhere, in that sometimes I'll do something interesting and Selwyn will say, oh, I can build that in into Alpha Anywhere, so everybody can do something like
That
that.
happens all the time. You do it the hard way first, and then someone
Yes.
makes it easy
So,
for all the Alpha Anywhere people.
right now, client side and server side are all done in Alpha Anywhere. This services I showed and everything were all A5W pages or A5W CMPs. And so yeah, Alpha Anywhere, as we heard in the first presentation today, is a
Yeah.
very rich system. And I've been using that system, and so has even and everybody else who's been working on it to produce what you're seeing with TransForm. TransForm was originally designed to be something that you could build with Alpha Anywhere and that everybody was building with it, but why should everybody reinvent the wheel and have to build their own form gathering thing and their own, and then their own dashboard and their own whatever. So let's have a standard one that you can just use out of the box. And then we followed the standard Alpha software style of we make it extensible so that you have a lot of headroom. As Richard always said, the big thing, you have headroom with our products.
That's right.
So that, and the two of them work together. We eat our own dog food, so to speak. We use our own product.
Fantastic. Well, I'm seeing some comments come in. People very excited about using Alpha Anywhere, basically as a mini app builder in the future. So that's
Well,
it.
I mean, what we see is that this we're using it ourselves. Alpha, we're using TransForm to leverage our developers to help our customers. So when customers come to us and say, I need this and this and this, we can build it very quickly. Like sometimes the next day we give them a quote unquote prototype that they end up using. We can build it easily using TransForm. And that's the same thing for Alpha developers outside of our company who are using TransForm to build their applications specifically to their customers, and they can build them very, very quickly and tune them and make changes very quickly, because not everybody fully understands what it means to add form capture and stuff like online form capture and all that to their processes. And they say, oh, now I understand. Well, since I can do that, why don't you add this and why don't you add that? And TransForm lets them be very facile with that, so they can keep their costs down. This was one of the things I think also mentioned this morning, is you want to keep the cost down of the developer to develop the applications, and then you can do applications that maybe only 5 people in a company use, but that still save a lot of money, but wasn't worth $1 million of development and a year of development to do. But it's certainly worth a lot, a day or two is development and a few days of development and to use it, and much less money.
Fantastic. We're just about out of time, but there is a question here, actually two. One was about confirm login. Are we planning to change the confirm login process? Yeah, we are going to add some flexibility to that, including looking into doing biometric login, because that's a huge feature which lets people very quickly get into the apps.
As we're adding various limiting stuff and all that, we'll be able to do one of the reasons that it works the way that it does is to allow you to be able to terminate something if you lose a device and be able to terminate a particular user or something like that.
Yeah.
We have other ways to do that are coming up, and therefore we may not need it as much. And we also have people sitting in the same thing much longer than we had before. We've already, added the 2-factor, which was a big change.
Right. And then the last question was just about time frame. Now, some of the features are actually in production today. What we'll call the mini app features. So we just need to get some documentation over to folks so that they can start using it. But that is ready in production. In terms of the new interface, I don't know, a week or two, I think, is all it's going to take before what even demonstrated and what is going to appear for you here. And
currently in the beta that we use, we have access to it.
Yeah.
And the components that we're using, the dashboard and the management console, etc., it's the same code, the same component that works in both of them. So we have flexibility to be able to let you use the old dashboard, the old central interface, or the new central interface. So you
Right.
can into
Yeah.
it. So if you have training material and you have people who already know how to use the other one, we're not going to have a flag day when suddenly you've got, in the next week or two, next few weeks, where you have to use this new one.
No. We're gonna, yeah, you will have a choice. Yep, absolutely.
But you'll have the same, but any forms or dashboards that you create underneath that and form definitions will be the same on both of them, running on the same code.
Yeah, fantastic. That's all the time we have. Dan and Evan and Greg and Scott, thank you very much for presenting. Thank you everyone here for attending. Our next session is coming up in about 15 minutes. It is Ask the Developers, often a very popular session. So get questions ready in your mind because we are going to start asking developers some questions. I look forward to seeing them there. Bye-bye.